Week 18 is upon us. It's the final week of the regular season. Some teams have a lot to play for. Other teams, not so much. They're sitting their starters. They're playing the backups. Even teams like the Chicago Bears are packing it in for the year. It's going to be a weird week in DFS, but I think there are some best plays out there. We're going to work through what do each team need, and a couple plays from each one, build a couple lineups, but then the fun happens. We'll get into multiple Underdog best ball drafts for the playoffs. They've released the Mitten 3 yesterday. It's time to start hammering that away right after this intro.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Welcome into the Rumbles of Red, presented by Stadium Rant and stadiumrant.com. Go check them out. We got plenty of action going on. Our front page has been really just kicking it with the news recently. Plenty of opportunity out there. Plenty of articles to go check out. And then also go check out Stadium Rant on Twitter. We are doing a giveaway. All you got to do is like this post. It's pinned to the top of the Stadium Rant page. Like this post, retweet it. Make sure you follow Stadium Rant on Twitter and then tag 3 of your friends. Just go ahead and comment. Tag 3 of your friends. Get yourself entered into this giveaway. It's a little Michael Jordan Funko Pop. I don't know. I think it's pretty sweet. So jump in there on Twitter. Give yourself an opportunity. If you're not on Twitter, but you're on Facebook, follow us on Stadium Rant on Facebook. Also give yourself an opportunity to win over there. Just a little bit of fun we're having over there at Stadium Rant. Go check us out at stadiumrant.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel here, the Stadium Rant YouTube channel. And as always, please hit that like button for me. Thank you all for being here. Happy New Year. I hope that the New Year's Day slate treated you well. Hope you started off 2023 with a bang, won some money. I know I had a little bit of success on New Year's Day. Not the success I was hoping for, but a little bit of success there. And now we're here, week 18. I'm just going to be honest from the top. This right here, this comment, right? You're right. The gamblers, the big time guys, they're all kind of stepping back. I'm going to do the same with DFS this week. My boys, I got the retro Red Friday. I got the Jamal Charles, the retro snapback hat. Just wanted to throw back the Red Friday for the Chiefs and an opportunity tomorrow afternoon to solidify the 1 seed in an odd situation, not necessarily one we expected, but one that we're dealing with here. So the Chiefs have an opportunity to solidify. So I want to throw back the Red Friday, but you're absolutely right here. Not necessarily only because of last week's situation on Monday Night Football. And we're so happy to hear that Damar Hamlin is doing so much better and addressed the Bills. I believe it was yesterday or this morning, one of the two. Great to hear that, but really just the overall nature of Week 18. There's a lot of teams that have nothing to play for, and a lot of teams that have something to play for, but how much does it really mean to them in terms of if I'm the 2 seed versus the 3 seed, or I could move up to the 2 seed, but I need 2 different teams to lose that are in great matchups and for the Minnesota Vikings per se. So just thinking about those things, how are the teams going to react and how are they going to take that situation and when are they going to set their starters, right? So those are kind of some of the things I want to talk through. We're going to talk through, it's going to be way different than normal. Usually it's position by position. I'm going to go team by team that have a chance to be in the playoffs because these are the teams I'll be targeting. There's a couple one-off pieces. Tyler Algier for the Atlanta Falcons. He's looking pretty solid. He needs 100 yards to get 1,000 yards as a rookie against the Tampa Bay team. Probably not going to play anybody. Garrett Wilson looks strong with Joe Flacco at the helm again. So there's some non-playoff players that I kind of like still, but most of all on the main slate, I'm targeting those players who are going to be playing for a spot in the playoffs or playing for a number 1 seed or a number 2 seed, whatever the case may be. That's what I'm going to go for. So we're going to walk through each scenario for those teams, team by team. And then here in about 20, 25 minutes, we're going to hit the Underdog streets. start drafting the Mitten 3, another $5 tournament they dropped. If you watched our show, Another Damn Fantasy Podcast, on Wednesday night, Dan and I went through 2 different gauntlet teams. That was a lot of fun. I think we ended up stacking a Chargers-Eagles matchup, so that was a lot of fun. But go check that out on YouTube. And then, tonight with the Mitten, we can get a little bit more weird, I think, because we're not spending near as much money. But we'll walk through that, talk a little playoff best ball. Done a Stidham stack with Waller and Adams, brought back McKinnon, Hardman, Tony, ETN, Zay Jones, Jack defense. It's very contrarian. I would agree. I think Stidham is definitely a play on Saturday, especially the way he played against the San Francisco 49ers last week. I actually like playing a little bit of Kelsey and Waller together, like a little 2 tight end action. That doesn't get played near as much on these short slates, 2-gamer. So I kind of like that a little bit. And, I think it's hard to play any Titans this week outside of potentially Jarek McKinnon, potentially outside of Derrick Henry. But I think there's still some options over there as well. Josh Dobbs didn't look completely incompetent last week. Let's jump right into the NFC and kind of how they're sitting. It's definitely less hectic in the NFC because we'll talk through that AFC situation with the Bengals-Bills game being canceled. But on the NFC side, we'll start at the top. The Philadelphia Eagles, they win. They solidify number 1 seed. They're going to face a Giants team that has already come out and said they're sitting their starters. I think the Eagles are a 14-point favorite here. The Giants are locked into the 6th seed, so nothing at all to play for. The Eagles are going to play their starters, it sounds like. I'm just a bit concerned. Like, what if they just get up by 24 points in the mid-third quarter? They're probably going to sit everybody, right? Now, in that case, maybe they've gotten there for you in terms of DFS, but that is definitely a little bit dicey situation there in Philadelphia. If Hurts plays, he's going to be in play this week, I believe. Running quarterback, he's always going to be in play. He's a stud right up there with Josh Allen. I love A.J. Brown this week. I like Devontae Smith. I would definitely take A.J. Brown over Smith just because A.J. Brown, he can do it so quickly, right? Back-to-back drives, 3 drives. He's got 2 touchdowns, whatever the case may be. And I think he can get it done even if it's 3 quarters worth. So I definitely like A.J. Brown the most out of that team. San Francisco, a win and a Philly loss, then they become the 1 seed. Expecting Philly to lose is quite a low possibility in my opinion, but the win does still solidify 2nd seed. So I look for San Francisco to be playing all in to win this game. McCaffrey, he's been injured, hasn't been practicing all week, and he's 10K on Fanduel. If he plays, he looks to be a little bit chalky this week. I'm not appealed by this 10K chalky running back in tournaments. I just don't like it. He has the ability to go 3 times 10K, right? He can put up 30 points. I'm not sure he can get to 40 and 4X this number, whereas there's a couple 8K guys, I believe, who could get to 24 and 4X their salary. Brandon Ayuk at 7,100 is a little bit too expensive here for me for the role that he has. 7,600 George Kittle, though. I love George Kittle. They're against the Arizona Cardinals, who is league's worst defense against tight ends. They could also just blow out David Blau and company and also not finish the game, right? So that's always going to be there. The one thing I want to mention here in San Francisco, I can pull this up. If Christian McCaffrey does not play, we're looking at Jordan Mason at 5,100, right? If Christian McCaffrey ends up not playing, which I wouldn't blame them, right? Why push him if you're already going to get the 2 seed? If you expect the Philadelphia Eagles to win that game, why push Christian McCaffrey? You could get Jordan Mason at 5,100, one of the guys who becomes a free square per se for me on FanDuel this week. So I like Jordan Mason at 5,100 if Christian McCaffrey were to miss time. Minnesota is currently in the 3 seed, a team, they need a lot of help, right? So they need the teams ahead of them to lose before they can move up, most specifically the 49ers, who are against the Arizona Cardinals. So I don't expect the 49ers to lose. I don't expect Minnesota to move up to the 2 seed after losing to the Packers last week. I don't really know how this is going to play out. How long are the Minnesota Vikings going to keep their starters in against the Chicago Bears, who have already said Justin Fields is not going to be playing? I know that Dalvin Cook is really projecting to be another chalky cash type running back this week, but he's one of my favorite running backs. 8K is super spicy for Dalvin Cook against one of the league's worst run defenses. Justin Jefferson at 9K, he's looking to be chalky. I'm really just not as interested in him on FanDuel. You know, if I was playing on DraftKings, just the sheer amount of catches he could get potentially, but I'm just not that interested at 9K on FanDuel. Maybe Minnesota, plays all game. Once they get Justin Jefferson on track, there's a whole bunch of speculation about the 194 yards he needs to break Calvin Johnson's all-time season yardage record. I don't know. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of yards, and Justin Jefferson can definitely make it happen, but I don't really expect that to happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with a ho-hum, 8 catches, ho-hum. But for Justin Jefferson, right, at 9K, ho-hum, 8 catches, 80 yards. He might not even fall into the end zone this week. So I'm just a little bit skeptical about the Minnesota offense, but I really do like Dalvin Cook. Tampa Bay, they're locked in the 4 seed. They're not playing anybody. I think they're going to start their starters, maybe play a quarter. I'm not playing anybody on that team. The Dallas Cowboys with the win and the Eagles loss. The Cowboys will win the NFC East. Otherwise, they're locked into the 5 seed again. Maybe they look up at that scoreboard at halftime and the Eagles are up 24-7. I wouldn't be surprised if the boys didn't start pulling off the starters. They cannot fall lower than the 5 seed. So again, why risk it in the second half if they don't have a chance because of a different game that's happening? The Giants have nothing to play for. They're in the 6 seed. They're sitting all their starters. So you're not playing anybody from that team. And then it gets to the fun part. Who's gonna be the 7 seed in the NFC? Seahawks, Lions, or Packers? Let me know in the chat. Who do you think becomes the 7 seed? Oh, gotta get myself a beer. Who do you think becomes the 7 seed? Lions, Packers, or Seahawks? Let me know in the chat. So this is the situation. If the Seahawks win, then the Lions cannot get in, right? If the Seahawks win it's 3:30 Central Time, if they win, the Lions can't get in. If they lose, then essentially the Lions-Packers Sunday Night Football game becomes a win and you're in situation for both teams. As an NFL fan, that's what I hope for. As an NFL fan, I hope the Rams can beat the Seahawks, and boy, are they going to try. Baker Mayfield is playing for his damn life out here. Baker Mayfield playing for his life out here. You better believe he's going to do anything he can to beat this team and keep them out of the playoffs. The Rams don't want to lose to the Seahawks and be the reason the Seahawks are in the playoffs. This is one of the things I think the NFL does the best. Get these divisional games at the end of the year, because even the teams who can't get in, there's motivation there. The Rams don't want to be the reason, right? That's what I hope happens. I hope the Rams beat the Seahawks just so we can see a Sunday Night Football, Packers, Lions, baby. Winner take all. Packers, they just have to win, and they're in no matter what that happens with the Seahawks. The Seahawks have to win and have the Lions win. The Lions need the Seahawks to lose and then win. They're the only 3 teams going to be battling for the 7 seed. I want the Lions to win, but it's hard to see Packers losing at Lambeau and a win and in. Yeah, you're right, Josh. Like I'm in the same boat. I think it would be fun for the Lions to get in just because of the way that they've been playing all year and this offense. And who doesn't want to root for an offense like this in the playoffs when, I don't know, Green Bay can get in the playoffs and go to San Francisco and get their tails kicked in like they did last year against San Francisco. I believe it was last year. I don't want to see that again, right? I don't want to see that again. I'd rather have the Lions win. Packers, you think the Packers are going to get in? They got the easiest way in. They just have to win the game, right? Win the game at home. Easiest way in. FanDuel is really irritating, right? So we talk FanDuel on here, and I'm talking main slate, and it's irritating because once again, they have the Sunday night game in the main slate. It's complete nonsense. I don't really understand how they can't wait until the NFL announces it before they put out all their contests, but they have to get the contest out Monday morning before the NFL makes any decisions. They just put all the games on the main slate except for the 2 Saturday games. It's frustrating because now you're literally sitting there tilting your team all day. Like, I like to be done at 6:30 and just play single game contests for Sunday Night Football. Second week in a row, that's not going to happen. However, I do think it gives us a little bit of an edge. I think this game will be underutilized because this is not a very normal thing that happens. It's quite rare that Sunday Night Football is included in the main slate. So I do think this game will be underutilized, and I do like getting a couple pieces from this game to play in that very, very late Sunday night game between the Lions and Packers. Aaron Rodgers, 7,100. He really looks like the best quarterback to play on the whole slate, just in terms of projection, and $7,100 is pretty cheap. Christian Watson at $6,900. Alan Lazard, $6,400, coming in projecting pretty low ownership. I would pay the $500 to get to Christian Watson if I was deciding on the two of those guys. And then Aaron Jones might be my just overall favorite play of the entire week. $7,400 against a bottom 3 run defense. Why would the Packers not just run the ball down the Lions' throats? They didn't do that last time they played, and it was kind of an odd. I don't really understand why they didn't. But this Lions defense has played better, but the run defense is still pretty bad. So just give the ball to Aaron Jones. Give the ball to Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon and let him just pound the ball, pound the rock, right? A little Aaron Jones, Amon-Ra St. Brown mini stack to me looks pretty great in this game. Again, though, my main concern here is if the Seahawks were to win and you got ASB sitting there, I don't know, the motivation, it's a different type of motivation than when I talk about like the Rams coming out, because the Rams know right now they have absolutely nothing to play for except for trying to beat the Seahawks. The Lions right now, they have a chance to make the playoffs. So it could be super demoralizing to get news at 6:30 before you play a 7:15 game. Hey, you don't have a chance to get in the playoffs. So I think that could definitely come into play a little bit. Again, why I hope the Seahawks just win that game or lose that game and make this a win in your end. So that's where I'm at with the NFC side of things. Now for the AFC. Oh boy, the AFC. You should already know. If you don't know, go to Twitter. Go anywhere you want, anywhere you get your news from. The NFL has come out. The owners voted on today. They will do the seeding based on win percentage, but there's a couple nuances within that for the playoffs. Okay, so if the Chiefs win tomorrow, they're the 1 seed. They get the first round bye. But because Buffalo did not have that 17th chance to win a ball game, if it's Buffalo, Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, it would be on a neutral site field, not Arrowhead. Whatever. That's the only one that would keep it out of Arrowhead if Buffalo makes it, because if the Chiefs win tomorrow, Cincinnati would never had a chance at the 1 seed, so that does not matter. But the other weird nuance is if Cincinnati loses to the Ravens, then it's a coin toss, because then the Ravens didn't have a chance to win the division, because had the Bengals lost to the Bills and then lost to the Ravens would have been AFC North champions. So the home field advantage for game 1 would be via coin flip. It's a whole thing. Go on to Twitter, go wherever you get your stuff, get your news, and figure that out. But I'm just going to run through this for DFS. The Chiefs, the 2 games on Saturday are AFC games, so we'll talk about them here shortly as well. Chiefs need to win to secure that number 1 seed, playing Saturday afternoon in the first of a 2-game short slate. We'll build a lineup for them later. Every Chief is in play this week. Every Raider is in play this week. Bills secure the 2 seed and a potential AFC Championship game in a neutral site if they win against the New England Patriots. Josh Allen, Steph Diggs, mini stacks. I'm all in on that this week for the main slate. I really like that mini stack. If you remember, and I understand this is, a year ago, but in the playoffs last year, I don't remember 7 drives, maybe however many drives it was. The Bills scored every single drive every time they had the ball. So I think they know what they're doing when it gets to this time of year. And I know it's been a hell of a week for them, but they got a little extra chip on their shoulder, a little extra motivation. The Patriots, sorry, I don't think the Patriots have a shot in this game. I think the Bills just rout them. I do think you could bring back maybe like a Jacoby Myers or maybe even a Ramondre Stevenson because the Patriots still have a lot to play for. If they win, they're in the playoffs. So they have plenty to play for. They're just not an offense we want to target necessarily in daily fantasy outside of a couple of these pieces. So the Bengals have already secured at least the third seed. They could get up to the 2 seed if they win and Buffalo loses. But again, I mentioned kind of where things get interesting at the Bengals and Ravens. If the Ravens win, then it's a coin flip of who hosts next week's wild card game, right? Because if the Chargers win, then the Ravens are the 6th seed. So it's 6 versus 3 again. I think this puts an extra motivation. I don't think Cincinnati planned on coming in to try to win this game because they couldn't get anything worse than a 3 seed. And then why show your cards if you're going to turn around and host the team next week? But now with this weird nuance of a coin flip, if the Bengals were to lose, I think they have to come in this game, throw everything they have at the Ravens to ensure they win the game, ensure they give this Cincinnati City a home game, especially after they quintessentially lost a home game last week. I think they do everything they can to win this game, and which tells me, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, line them all up. T. Higgins is $700 cheaper than Jamar Chase, and he's projecting sub 5% ownership right now. I'm going to play T. Higgins the most in my tournament plays this week. Titans versus Jaguars. Who wins the game? Let me know in the chat. Titans versus Jaguars. Who wins tomorrow night? Here in a moment, we're gonna build a Saturday lineup. But who wins that game? It's winner take all. It's the game that I want to stack because I think everybody's gonna attack the Chiefs Raiders game. I kind of want to go heavy on this second game, be a little bit contrarian tomorrow in a 2-game slate. The Chargers, they take the 5 seed, and what would be on paper is the best matchup against either the Jags or Titans next week. So I look for them to be all in on winning this week. I love the Chargers playing. They're projecting that the starters might not play the whole game, but I think they will, especially if they look up and the Bengals-Ravens game is close. This Chargers team does not want to lose and go to Cincinnati next week. They want to go to Jacksonville or Tennessee. I look for them to play the entire game, make sure they win this game. I'm not going to game stack it just because you have that kind of potential that they sit their starters. But a one-off Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, or a Mike Williams, to me, that's in play. I like Keenan Allen and the volume he brings of all 3 of them. He's $7,500 versus Mike Williams, $7,400, right? So give me Keenan Allen at $7,500. The Ravens, they're pretty well stuck in the 5 seed. They can get stuck in the 6 seed. They can get up to the 5 seed, as I said already. They just don't have enough offensive power for me to get excited to play them this week. The Cincinnati defense is pretty solid. I'll probably be staying away from all Baltimore Ravens this week. No Lamar Jackson still, so I'm not really interested in playing any of those guys. All right. Jags, baby. Jags. I'm all in on the Jags as well. My boy, James, I think he's at NBA games tonight, so he couldn't join the chat. But I know he's a Titans fan. He runs the Titans Tilt podcast. Him and another Stadium Rant contributor, Kev, they went at it on the Titans Tilt podcast this past week. So check that out on Spotify, NFL on Stadium Rant podcast. They just went at it. Who's going to win? Jags, Titans. So it's going to be a hell of a game. I'm really happy that's the Saturday night game just because it has the most implication. The Lions-Green Bay game could, depending on what happens to the Seahawks, but right now this has the most implications for the playoffs from both sides. So I love to see that. I'm glad it's on the Saturday night game. All right, similar to the NFC, the AFC also has 3 potential teams. Really, they have 4. If the Jaguars were to lose Saturday night, they're still in play for the wild card technically. But they have really 3 teams that we're looking at that can make the last spot come Sunday. That's the New England Patriots, the Miami Dolphins, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Patriots are playing the Bills. They have a minimum offensive firepower. I mentioned it earlier. I like Stevenson at 6,600 and Jacoby Myers at 6,500. That's about it. You could twist my arm into a 5K Hunter Henry. Looks like he's going to be healthy this week. It's not bad, but you're really just hoping for maybe a 2-touchdown game from Hunter Henry as they get in close. The Miami Dolphins, well, they're going to try to make the playoffs on the back of rookie Skylar Thompson. Hail to the Wildcats, a K-State guy. I don't know. It hurts the whole outlook of this team, this offense. I'm not really going in super confident that the Dolphins and Skylar Thompson can beat this Jets team. This Jets defense is really good. They don't really get a lot of I don't know, a lot of accolades, I guess, but they're a really good defense. I still want to play Tyreek Hill because if I'm Mike McDaniel, I have to get the ball into my best playmaker's hands, and that is Tyreek Hill. He's going to be very contrarian against a very chalky Justin Jefferson. So if I'm paying up for a wide receiver this week, I want to go Tyreek Hill over Justin Jefferson and save myself a ton of rostership there. Jeff Wilson at $6,200. He's a nice, cheap running back play. I'm not sold on it, though. Really, in this game, it's the other side of the ball. Garrett Wilson. The Jets don't have anything to play for, but they're throwing Joe Flacco in there. I like Garrett Wilson a lot. $7,100. Joe Flacco wants to prove he's still got a little juice in him. Maybe he's looking for a backup role next year. Maybe he wants to play spoiler, just as I talked about with the Rams. Look for the Jets to beat the Miami Dolphins and Garrett Wilson have a pretty good game against this bad Miami defense. And then the last team is the Steelers, who face the lowly Browns. Najee Harris, 7,200. Pat Freiermuth is at 5,500. They're really the only 2 players I like here on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can't get into these wide receivers. I love Deontay Johnson, but I just can't get into him for a tournament play. None of these guys. It's just Kenny Pickett and company. If they're going to win this game, they're going to have to hand the ball off, and they're going to have to dump the ball off short. Dump it off to Freiermuth and Harris. Hand it off to Harris. That's the way I'm going to go if I'm playing a Pittsburgh Steeler. But again, it's the other side of the ball that I like kind of in this game. $7,200 Amari Cooper. Not $7,200. How much is Cooper? $7,600. Excuse me. $7,600 Amari Cooper. No one is going to play this guy. And he just blew up last week. Divisional matchup. Steelers, Browns. Amari Cooper is kind of getting, kind of finding his way with Deshaun Watson. I don't mind playing Amari Cooper at sub 5% this week. Maybe a mini stack him with Najee Harris, something like that. All right, let's build up Steelers according to my ex-wife. Steelers it is, baby. Steelers it is. Let's quickly build a lineup for Saturday. Okay, what game are you going to stack the most? The first game, the Chiefs Raiders, or the Jags versus the Titans? Which one do you want to stack the most? If you're here to do some underdog drafts, we're going to build a couple. We're going to build one lineup for Saturday, one Sunday main slate lineup. Then we're jumping into the underdog drafts. Hopefully you're here. If you are here, hit that like button if you would. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Stadium Rant YouTube channel. Jump in the chat. Join us here right now. I want to kind of hear from you all. Which game do you want to see stack the most tomorrow? Are you going to stack this Chiefs Raiders game, or are you going to stack the Titans Jaguars game? For me, I like stacking this Jaguars game a little bit heavier because it's going to be more contrarian. It's going to be more contrarian. You can get away with playing Trevor Lawrence. You can get away with playing Josh Dobbs at 6,400, right? If we look at last week, I think it was Robert Woods, wasn't it? Had a heck of a game, yeah. 9 targets, 5 catches. He ends up in the end zone. Traylon Burks, I think he'll play tomorrow. He had a fine game last week, 4 catches on 8 targets. So either one of these guys will be fine against the Jaguars defense. And I don't think a lot of people are no one's going to play both of them. I mean, if they do, it's not going to be much, right? So I don't mind that. I don't trust that, though. So really what I'm going to end up doing, I'm still going to end up playing Mahomes. So let's stack this Mahomes. And I mentioned it earlier. I like playing Kelsey. He's a little expensive. I don't think you have to double stack Mahomes. And I do think you could go all in on one side. Like, I think you could just stack the Chiefs and just say Jarrett Stidham had a fluke game last week. Right? You can just say Jared Stidham had a fluke game. So if I go like this, right? Kind of a KC onslaught. I think most people are going to play the Tennessee or Jacksonville defenses. But then you come to this Jacksonville game, and then you just run hot. I love Evan Ingram. You could go Christian Kirk or Zay Jones. Either one of those guys, you could maybe potentially play them all. I'll go Zay Jones for the salary saver. Robert Woods or Traylon Burks, and I'll go Robert Woods. That leaves me $6K for a flex. In this situation, I can play anybody. I've got 4 Chiefs, and I've got a 3v1 Jacksonville against Tennessee. Let's see who's in the 6K range. Hassan Haskins, I don't really love that. JaMychal Hasty stole. Chig Okonkwo, can barely say his name. Don't mind that. You could also get off here. What can you get? Oh, you can't get much with Derrick Henry. Just kidding. That would have been sweet. Josh Jacobs is looking to play as well. I don't like that. Yeah, I think I want to go back with him there. You could come off Zay Jones a little bit. Traylon Burks is a little cheaper, and then it gives you 6,200 at flex. Doesn't really get you anywhere, though. Who's this last guy we should throw in here? Who's somebody we like? Austin, we could just go double tight in and take out Robert Woods. Take out Robert Woods. Maybe we find one Raider on the other side. Not even a Raider worth playing, is there? Mac Hollins. What if we play Darren Waller on the other side of this? That leaves us $6,900, and then we could go back to Zay Jones. So we go Travis Etienne, Zay Jones, Austin Hooper, Traylon Burks. So I got 4 guys in that second game. This still ends up putting 5 guys in the first game. And I just said I want to stack the second game. But as you see, salary is wide open. Plenty of options here. I really would, if I wasn't on stream, I would probably really force myself into getting this to more of a 6 versus 3. Get 6 Jags and Titans in there. If I want to go really contrarian, especially if I'm going to go a larger field tournament, maybe get over 100, maybe get to 1,000 people, 1,000-person tournament. I'm in a $5 400-person tournament. 6 Jags Titans. I really like that more than a 5 or 6 Chiefs Raiders. Look, 5 or 6 Chiefs Raiders, of course that has the opportunity to win it, but you got to get that right if that's going to win. I'd rather play the game that nobody wants to play and hope that I'm right with that. All right, let's build a main slate. Expecting that Jordan Mason isn't in. There is one more free square at running back. Jonathan Williams. So Brian Robinson still isn't playing. Antonio Gibson hit the IR. So that cues up this Jonathan Williams. And I think he's going to end up being the starter starting running back. And all we're doing here is playing a 5K guy. That's all we're looking at here. $5,000, why not? 5K, why not? Looking at defenses here, I could play the Washington defense and just say that the Cowboys pack it in, which I don't really hate. They're super cheap. If I go all here, right? They're super cheap. They're one of the cheapest defenses. The Cowboys, they really, truly have very minimal to play for tomorrow. Yes, they could still win the division, but I think they could win this game without putting up 30 points. And they can't fall further than the 5th seed, so it doesn't really matter for them. What quarterback do we want to play here? We'll go Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts. I just don't like Jalen Hurts. He's going to be chalky. I'm not a big fan of him this week. I see him sitting him after a while. I like Joe Burrow a lot. I think, a Joe Burrow double stack could definitely be in play this week against this Baltimore team. I mentioned earlier, I really like Dalvin Cook this week. I like Aaron Jones. So why don't we do this? Why don't we put in that late game, this Detroit Green Bay game? Let's put this little mini stack, Aaron Jones, Amon-Ra St. Brown in here, because it's one that I talked about earlier. So let's put that in there. Christian McCaffrey will be chalky if he ends up playing. One guy, Corey Clement here in Arizona, just another guy to keep your eye on, $5,700. James Conner is going to be out. So here's your report here. Cliff Kingsbury said Clement and Ingram will be in store for increased roles. So just could be an opportunity here in Arizona at $5,700. Not something I like. I'd rather play Jonathan Williams against a Dallas team that doesn't have a lot to play for. Then I would go there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do less game stacks and more team type stacks. And I kind of want to play this Joe Burrow double and see where it gets me. And I might not play with Jamar Chase. I might go ahead and just play it with a T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and kind of see where that ends up getting me salary-wise. Reason being, look, Tyler Boyd, yeah, he's the only one to cut the touchdown early in the game on Monday night that we all saw, but he always sneaks up, it seems like, especially when they're in the goal line, find him in the back of the end zone. So if they're going to grind this out a little bit more, I don't mind that. So we got a nice double stack. And then look at all the salary we got left on the table still. We might even be able to let's just put Chase in here. Let's do the premium double. 5,900 still. And we haven't even put a tight end in. So I like that a lot. Nothing wrong with that. And again, I don't care about bringing a Baltimore bring back there. Of course they can pull them, but anybody can get pulled. I love Garrett Wilson this week. So I'm going to put him in here and see if, thanks, Josh. Sorry I didn't get to any drafts yet while you're here, but we're about to rip some of those here before too long. Garrett Wilson, I don't think that's going to allow me to play any tight ends. Let's see here. What can I get in tight end? I can just punt tight end. I don't care. Any tight ends we can punt? Jelani Woods. Jelani Woods against Houston. Let's just throw him in here. Look at that. I love Garrett Wilson this week. You got to find the teams that are going to be playing for something, right? The Bengals got a lot to play for at this point. They feel slighted. They feel like they're getting screwed by the NFL. They've got a lot to play for. Jonathan Williams is the free square. Aaron Jones, Amon-Ra St. Brown with the game of the year, hopefully. They got to play each other. Maybe it blows up a little bit. One-off Garrett Wilson against a terrible Miami defense. Jelani Woods in there. So there's a ton of guys that can be in play this week. Again, my advice, scale back a little bit on FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever you're playing this week, just because it's such a big unknown. Who's ready to do some underdog drafts? Who's ready to do some underdog drafts? So they released the Mitten 3. So I'm going to pull this up here. If you've never played on Underdog, you can join Underdog now. Use my promo code Trevor Steinbacher, just all one word. They'll give you $100 back, $100 match, they'll give you a deposit match up to $100. So if you drop in $100, you get $100 deposit match, anywhere between $1 and $100. So use my promo code Trevor Steinbacher, and let's do some drafting. So the Mitten here is a little bit different. The Mitten 3. Most of these leagues are the top team from each 6-man draft moves on. But the Mitten 3 is actually the top 2 teams. So the top 2 teams from round 1 move on. And they end up in a 20-person group in round 2. And then the top 2 team, a 12-person a 12-person group in round 2. Let me blow this up a little bit more. And then if you are the top 2 from that group, you end up in the 3rd round, which will consist of a 20-person group. Top 2 from that make the final, which is a single 314-person group. Now, here's the catch. You can get to the final, right? If you get to the final, that's awesome. 201 to 314. So anybody makes a final makes $50. That's awesome. Like, I would be stoked if that happened. However, what if instead of a 314th, you make it to the top 10? Now you're turning your $5 into $1,500. And of course, they've got the $35,000 at the top. That would pay off all my fantasy football debts. That's for sure. Maybe for my whole career, right? But that's what we're aiming for. So when we go into these drafts, I bring that up because I want you to understand why I'm stacking 6 to 8 players from 2 different teams, because that's what I want. Yes, we got to get out of the first couple rounds, but if I can get a team to the final, ideally, I have 6 to 8 players from the Super Bowl matchup. You play 5 of them, so if I can get 6 to 8, that gives me a very unique opportunity to potentially take this thing down. Of course, a long ways to go, but that's kind of where my head's at as I draft some of these teams. Hopefully you're here to draft with me. If so, we're going to jump in here to the Mitten 3. It's been cruising already 30% filled. That just opened yesterday morning. Who do you think is going to make the Super Bowl? Before I hit this, let me know in the chat who you think is going to make the Super Bowl, because when you're doing these drafts, a little bit of it depends on where you're drafting, how the draft board falls, but also who you think might make the Super Bowl, because you kind of want to get those teams, AFC and NFC. All right, let's jump in here and get a draft rolling. Let's get a draft rolling. All right, let's send this out. Cincinnati, San Francisco. I think Cincinnati has a lot to play for. I got the 4 spot this time, man. Yesterday, or for the, I guess on ADP on Wednesday night, and even Wednesday during the day when I was trying to fill the Mitten 2, goodness, I got the 5 and 6 spot every time. I'd really like to get a 1, 2, or 3 spot here, Underdog. If you're listening, let me get a 1, 2, or 3 spot. Let me get a 1, 2, or 3 spot. Try to get a couple more people in here. All right, so I'm at the 4 spot here. Pretty much right now, I'm kind of stuck with my top 4. One of these 3 quarterbacks or Christian McCaffrey. I don't mind that at all. Don't mind it at all. Just then you can stack up the 49ers, and pretty well for cheap too. Pretty cheap 49ers. I think they're not as cheap as they used to be, but we'll see how it rolls in the Mitten 3 here. This is my first Mitten 3 draft I've done, so I'll see how this goes. Joe Burrow looks like he's way up here now. something that we hadn't seen before. Used to be able to get Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow pretty easily. You're not getting that now. So going back to the Cincinnati, San Francisco, right? That's going to be a little bit more difficult to make happen now, just because you get McCaffrey or Burrow now, or Chase now, you can't really get another high price guy later. I think really the way you got to go is probably Cincinnati side, the Burrow Chase, and then bring back the San Francisco guys. Probably the way to go. The other thing is I'm not set with San Francisco just because I take Christian McCaffrey. I'm completely fine with Christian McCaffrey being a one-off piece just to help me get through a couple rounds. He's got that ceiling. I'm not going to force myself into a San Francisco stack just because I take Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, if I take one of those quarterbacks, I'm going to force that team. If I take Jamar Chase, if I got Joe Burrow, which that doesn't happen here, it doesn't quite fall to that turn. But if that happens, then I'll force Cincinnati. But taking Christian McCaffrey and his upside and his ceiling, that does not make me force a San Francisco stack here. I'm on the clock. Kelsey's here. He's been falling quite a bit more. CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Jefferson. I think I'm just going to – so Kelsey's not going to play in the first round, but Christian McCaffrey will. So I think I'll just take Travis Kelce, and then I'll kind of see what I got, and I'll start making my big stacks here after this. I don't mind taking Chiefs guys, Juju, Kadarius Toney, those kind of guys. All right, let's see. McKinnon goes. McKinnon's been flying up boards here. McKinnon's been flying up boards. Let's pull this up. A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson. So this guy, Pizza Turtle's got Josh Allen, Jefferson, Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler's been flying up the board here. I guess I'm up, aren't I? So I can't get Burrow. What I'll probably do here is take Pollard and see if I can get Dak to come back. This guy took CeeDee Lamb over here. This guy's already got Joe Burrow, so he could take Dak, this GHSFY, but he doesn't have any Cowboys to go with it. So we can see if Dak falls back to us. If so, then we can just start to build out a Cowboy stack. George Kittle's still there. Well, he's not there anymore. Okay. Look at that. Easy as pie. So now we run with an NFC side of the Dallas Cowboys. We can get a Dalton Schultz, Michael Gallup later on. We've already got Tony Pollard. So we've already got what we would say is our Super Bowl running back. We've got our Super Bowl quarterback. So now let's build around this Super Bowl. I could just keep going in with Chiefs players, which is probably the best EV, knowing I have Travis Kelce. Or I could just try to go a completely different route and say Kelce and McCaffrey are my two one-offs, and try to find some other guys like, the Chargers would have to go to Kansas City if they win. So I wouldn't like that as much unless I went real heavy on the Chargers. Who else? The Ravens potentially, or any Bills and Bengals still that might be available. But those guys are pretty expensive. So as we come around here, Miles Sanders goes, Juju goes, Devin Singletary, Dalvin Cook. So this guy in the one spot's got 3 running backs now. Brock Purdy goes. I am on the clock. Dalton Schultz is here. The Chargers guys are here. Isaiah Pacheco, which I don't necessarily love. So I think I'm going to go Dalton Schultz in this range. And I could probably go Michael Gallup later. All right, there's Gallup. Put him in my queue. Let's look at the Chiefs. Who's left? See, I'll take any of these guys. Pacheco. If Pacheco falls, I'll probably take him next. But this is easy. I'll take all these guys, especially the way the Chiefs play. All those guys can have boom weeks anytime. Any of those guys can have boom weeks at any point in time. San Francisco, like Ayuk's still sitting there, but again, since I took Dak as my NFC quarterback, I don't really want to go in on San Francisco. I am now on the clock. Brandon Ayuk goes. This is interesting. I'm actually kind of surprised these Charger guys are still here. I'm not going to go that route. I feel like I'm kind of in on this Chiefs Dallas stack already. But this is interesting that they're all still here. Put Pacheco up here. Now I've got Kadarius Toney, MVS, Mecole Hardman. The other thing I've got going is I still have an opportunity to do a one-off here. I could go 8, right? I could do 7. So I've got Dak, Tony Pollard, Dalton Schultz with Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce bringback. A lot of people are going to start avoiding some of these Chiefs guys because they're going to have the bye now. People aren't going to want to play them. People are going to, it's hard to play the 1 seeds in this because you don't get any points week 1. In the mitten 3, the top 2 teams get through. So it's a little bit easier to make it through than the other ones that just the top 1 gets through. Right? So let's see here. I could go another Chief. So right now I've got Dak, McCaffrey, Pollard, Dalton Schultz to play the first week. I think what I'm going to do is hold off on Tony. No, I'm not. I'm going to go Tony here. I'm going to go Tony here. Then I'll probably go Gallup, and I'll probably just end it at that point. And then I'll have 2 guys left that I'll take that are just one-off pieces that are going to help me get through round 1. Right? One-off pieces to help me get through round 1. So I don't need MVS, don't need Mecole. So who's those guys, right? Travis Etienne I like. If the Jaguars win, they're going to be playing the Chargers. It's a run funnel type defense. So I like Travis Etienne quite a bit. I already have 3 running backs, though, so I'm not really interested in drafting another running back. I've got 2 for my 1 spot. Take Gallup here. Do I need to take Gallup? Yeah, let's take Gallup. I've got my 3 Chiefs. So if it's a Cowboys Chiefs Super Bowl, right? I've got 7 players and I need 5. 7 players and I need 5. So I like that. Now, who can help me get through? Aaron Jones, some of these Green Bay guys, Christian Watson. So if Green Bay wins, they would be playing Dallas. I don't really like that because it only helps me get through 1 week, right? If Dallas and Green Bay, somebody's going to lose that game. Oh, no, they're not. Excuse me. Dallas is playing, or Green Bay would play San Francisco. Green Bay would play San Francisco. So that doesn't make me feel as bad. Although I have McCaffrey still, but not as bad. So who would play so you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to play some of these Giants. They're stuck in the 6th seed. That's who I want to play. They're stuck in the 6th seed against a haphazardous Minnesota Vikings defense. And these wide receivers have been killing it recently. Isaiah Jones, Hodgins, and where's the other guy? Richie James? Yeah. These 2 guys have been killing it recently. So I like that play. Let's keep them in mind. And then let's see who else is on here. I don't like Tyreek Hill as much anymore. I probably drafted too much of him. I don't mind Josh Palmer, except for a 1 week hit. It's not necessarily big. Derrick Henry. The Titans can still win this game tomorrow night. And wouldn't he be a pretty dang good play against Chargers defense? Let's do Derrick Henry. No, let's not. We're going to do Isaiah Hodgins. I don't want another running back. I just told you guys that. I've got enough running backs. I got to outscore Pollard and Christian McCaffrey to be worth something in round 1. That's going to be hard. What about Zay Jones? Zay Jones would be playing if they win, they would play the Los Angeles Chargers. And then if they win that game, they'd be playing against the Chiefs. Am I right? Thinking that the Bengals and Bills win? I don't mind that. Zay Jones is very boom or bust. And they have 1 win till they're in. So I'm going to take Zay Jones here as a one-off. Zay Jones as a one-off. If you're in the draft, are you going to try to jump in the draft with me next time? If you're in the chat, are you going to try to jump in the draft? If not, do you want to draft with me, chat? Let me hear if you guys want to try to. I can ask the chat who you guys want me to pick, but you got to be quick with your fingers. Do you want to draft? Do you want to do a chat draft? You got to be quick with your fingers. Let's go back and look at that mitten 3. So again, we are playing here a Dallas stack here. Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, Dalton Schultz, and Michael Gallup, right? And we're playing this for a Chiefs-Dallas Super Bowl. Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce, Kadarius Toney. And then we got a bunch of one-offs. Christian McCaffrey, as I said, you can play him without playing it as a San Francisco stack. I actually think that's probably going to be a little bit unique. Most people, once they hit that first button, that's kind of the way they go. And I'm here to tell you that you don't have to do that every single time. So Christian McCaffrey one-off to help us get through a couple rounds. Isaiah Hodgins, who we anticipate playing the Minnesota Vikings in a dome in round 1. We like that. And then Zay Jones, who we anticipate playing in what could be a high-flying matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers, should they win. So just two wide receivers who are one-offs who could have boom games and have had boom games, right? They've done that before. So I don't mind that at all. But let's do another one. What do you guys think about that draft? Do you guys like the Dallas, Kansas City with those 3 one-offs, Christian McCaffrey, Isaiah Hodgins, and Zay Jones? Let me know in the chat. What did you think about that one? We're going to do another one here. Nobody said they want to draft with me through the chat. I could draft with the chat. You just have to tell me. That's not what I wanted to do. Cheers to all of you out there. Got the silver bullet tonight, as always. Helps me get through these drafts, right? Helps me get through these drafts. All right, if you're going to draft with me, let's jump in this one. Come on, Underdog. Give me a 1 through 3 pick. Give me a 1 through 3 pick. What if we push the 2 top seeds, right? Like the Eagles and Chiefs. That would be so difficult to get out of round 1. A flipping 6. All right, so this what we're doing. We're going here. If Chase falls to 6, right? If Guff wants to take Kelce or somebody weird in the first, we're going Chase Burrow. I'm not sure they're going to fall, but if they do, we're going that way. What does it show as your ranking with that last draft? Well, let's take a look. If my wife's watching, hopefully she closes her eyes and doesn't see all these entries. What does it show me as a ranking? It says projected 160. Is that what you're asking? Projected 160. What's up, Kyle? How you doing, man? How you doing? Who do you want me to see? Who do you want to see me draft? All right, so name here. I don't know. It just says projected 160. I don't know. I don't know if it shows me anything else after that. I might be missing something. Getting with all these badge bros. All right, so Josh Allen, McCaffrey, Mahomes, Burrow. Whoa, Burrow going early. No more Chase Burrow this time. No Chase Burrow this time. Another option that you can take instead of all the one-offs that I went with last time, you could build a 4-3-3. So 4 players from one team on one division or from one conference, and then 2 teams for the other conference at 3 guys apiece, right? Kind of giving you an extra out. I don't really want to build another Dallas stack. We'll take Chase. I mean, we could do another. You know what? Let's do another. Let's do a Charger stack. Let's do a Chargers. Let's try Chargers and Bengals with Dallas. Freaking Dallas. Why the hell are we drafting so many Dallas guys? It's underdog, man. I keep getting stuck back here in the 4, 5, and 6 range. I want a 1 through 3. I want to be able to draft one of those quarterbacks. I don't mind Justin Herbert. I built quite a bit of Charger stacks, actually. So I don't mind him there. I don't really love Brock Purdy, but he's got enough pieces that they'll carry him, right? So really, it's Dak for me. It is Dak for me. So what we could do here is, depending on who falls, we could look at adding another Bengal, right? So we can try to build that 4-3-3 that I talked about, except this time it's with CeeDee Lamb. If you remember, last time it was out CeeDee Lamb. So we do a 4-3-3. The nice thing about this and doing the Bengals and the Chargers is that there is no chance for the Bengals and Chargers to play each other until the AFC Championship game, if the Bengals win this week, right? So we're thinking about playoff matchups. It would be the Bengals would be the 3 seed if they win, at least. The Chargers would be the 5. So the Chargers would be the 5 seed, and then they would go to Kansas City. So we're definitely taking Dak here. T. Higgins goes. Joe Mixon goes. So I kind of want to just – we could go Austin Eckler and go AFC. We take the AFC side of – let's do that. Let's go Austin Eckler and Dak. We're not going to get Mixon. That's fine from Burrow. We could get Zeke potentially later on and have an NFC running back in the Super Bowl still. It would have been awesome if we could have got Mixon, but that's fine. We could have went Pollard again. Don't need it as much because we got CeeDee Lamb. We go Zeke, and then it's Dalton Schultz or Gallup. I prefer Dalton Schultz over Gallup. We can see those Dalton Schultz 2 touchdown games. Seen it many times before. Don't mind those, so expect that to happen a couple more times. All right, and then we're looking for Los Angeles Charger players. We need 2 more of them. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. We could even do like a Josh Palmer, Gerald Everett later on. Probably not going to get too weird and go into a DeAndre Carter or Donald Parham. We already got Austin Eckler, so we're definitely not going Josh Kelly. And then Cincinnati. Cincinnati goes fast early, but then they slow down a little bit. I don't mind Hayden Hurst. And quite frankly, if we really had to go, we could go Samaje Perine. Give us that second running back in the Super Bowl potentially, right? So now what we're doing is we're playing the ADP game. Now what we're doing is we're playing the ADP game. I think because Gallup's down here, I think we have to take Tyler Boyd. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, he might take Tyler Boyd right there, actually. Ben 15,390. Probably going to take Boyd right here, actually. I would if I were him, knowing that this guy's got Joe Mixon, this guy's got Jamar Chase. So we'll see what he does. He goes Keenan Allen. So he's kind of got a little bit of Cincinnati Chargers as well. So I think we got to go Tyler Boyd. So then it's just a matter of Zeke versus Dalton Schultz. We know we can get Samaje Perine later, but he's not really going to help us through the first couple rounds. So in that sense, I think we have to get Zeke. I also don't think we're going to get Mike Williams anymore. So we might have to pivot off of a 3 Chargers. Just knowing this guy just took Justin Herbert right in front of us, I assume he's going to be taking Mike Williams next. We'll go Boyd. So right now we're sitting on 3 Dallas, 1 Charger, 2 Bengals. We still have some pieces on the Chargers. I don't mind Josh Palmer or Gerald Everett. Again, we're just looking. This isn't going to be our main stack. Our main stack is going to be Dallas. We're looking for a couple big-time games from these guys. And Guff goes, what the hell is this guy doing? This guy's got a Jalen Hurts, Travis Kelce, Joe Mixon, Miles Sanders, Justin Herbert, Chris Godwin. Guff, are you in my chat? Show yourself. So you got a Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders stack, no pass catcher, and a Justin Herbert with no pass catcher. I guess I don't really understand it. I don't understand what he's doing. Why wouldn't you take Mike Williams at 32? That would have made a lot of sense. This guy's got Patrick Mahomes with no Juju. He's passed up on Juju 1, 2 times. With Justin Jefferson, I can see why. Takes Jerick McKinnon here instead. And then takes Pacheco. So he's got Gopher Topher's got McKinnon and Pacheco. Jay Young's got a San Francisco, Kansas City stack going. Look at this thing. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Brock Purdy. Wow. That's one way to get your team, get it early, right? Take the first 4 players. You reach on Ayuk and Deebo just to make sure it happens. I don't hate that. ADP is not really much of a factor in these games. I like to look at the other 5 teams more than ADP to kind of think through what they might do. Right? Think through what they might do. Mike Williams goes here. So he's got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. So again, we're not going to get all the Chargers anymore. We can't play Baltimore because they play Cincinnati. We don't get Dalton Schultz, which we didn't assume we would. So I think we definitely take Michael Gallup, get our fourth Cowboy. And then what? Do we go Jags? We could potentially go Jags. Or we could just keep piling on with these more ancillary pieces, which I also don't necessarily hate. Go Gallup here. Since I got Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd, I'm not going to go Hayden Hurst. I'm going to go Samaje Perine. Especially since oops, that's not what I wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and take Josh Palmer. Actually, I'm going to take Gerald Everett over Josh Palmer because I don't care if Palmer goes. I like Everett better. Perine. So all I'm doing here, again, the ADP, that doesn't matter as much anymore. I could have pivoted and gone a two-teamer or a two-person team, right? And just had Austin Eckler as a one-off. But I really like that 4-3-3 build. Even if the Chargers make the Super Bowl, who's to say it's not Gerald Everett catching two passes, right? Mike Williams, Keenan Allen versus the Cowboys. The Cowboys defense is pretty solid. It could be Gerald Everett. I like Gerald Everett more than Josh Palmer, but I will take Palmer if he is still there for my last pick. Perine, I don't like as much, but I want to get a third Cincinnati guy, and I want to get another running back. So I guess, in reality, what we could also do is go 4-2. So Dallas, Cincy, Chargers 2, and then potentially just a different 2. Can't do a Baltimore 2 because they played Cincinnati. I don't know. I don't mind doing I still want to do the 4-3-3. I'm going to still do the 4-3-3. What do you think? If you're in the chat, should I stick with the 4-3-3? Perine's not going to help us get through the first couple. He's not going to help us get through anything. He's really just going to be a dart throw. But we have Austin Eckler and Zeke. Surely between the two of them, we can get a decent running back play. And that has us playing 3 wide receivers, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. One of these guys. I'm good with this. I like this. Nothing wrong with getting a little bit different and a little bit weird on some of these. Nothing wrong with that at all. All right, if you're still here, I appreciate it. Do you want to see another draft? If you want to see another draft, say yes in the chat and tell me a team that you want to see me stack up. Tell me yes in the chat and tell me a team that you want to see me stack up if you're still here in the chat. And if you don't, that's fine. We can shut it down. I'm good with that too. Let's take a look at this draft. All the badges. Pizza Turtle goes Josh Allen to Devin Singletary. Cole Beasley at the end. Minnesota. 3 Minnesota guys. 2 Chargers. See, I'm not going heavy. If I'm taking, I really want to take I want to do another draft just to see if I can get the top 3. Like I want to get a top 3 pick, right? Just to show you, if I go Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or Jalen Hurts, like I am stacking that team. Very similar to what Orden did here. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert. He takes 5 of them. This was the first draft I did, actually. Whatever. And then he takes Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, and then he takes ETN, Kirk, and Lawrence. So what he does here, right? Unfortunately, he doesn't give himself too many outs because the Chargers and Jags will probably play each other in round one. I would have done this a little bit different, but I understand it. Understand why. I probably would have done like a Ravens in the middle of this or a Ravens at the end of this rather than a Jaguars and Chargers because you're losing one of them after the first round. But 5 Eagles. 5 Eagles. You need a 200 ranking to get through the first round. Is that right? Let's see what the last one did. Oh, come on. Show me the second one already. Well, that was 169. 160. What are the other guys getting? 224. I mean, when you get to take Josh Allen in first overall, I can't do much there. I got to do what I can in the position that I'm picking, right? That's a big problem. That's a big problem. All right. I didn't see any yeses. Last chance. You all want to see me draft one more time on stream. Otherwise, we can shut it down. If I shut it down, I'm just going to go draft more anyways, right? All right, I'll do one more. We've been live an hour and 15 minutes. I'll do one more. This is the last one. I really want a top 3 pick. Come on, Underdog. Be kind to us. Because I can probably get this. If I draft Josh Allen in the first round, overstack them. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Wow. That's 3 in a row. 4, 5, and 6 spots. Go back to my show on Wednesday. Another damn fantasy podcast with Dan. Go back to that one. We were 5 and 6. I can't get a top 3 pick. I must not give them enough. 5 Eagles, and they don't even play the first round. Yeah, you're right. That's probably pretty tough. But if somehow, right, because they had the 5 guys from the Chargers Jags game. So if that game just absolutely smashes, and just the thing about the first round, there's going to be games. Nowadays though, there's 6, right? There's 6 games, so it's not as easy to pick it. And it's not as easy to just blow everybody out of the water. But there's going to be games that are far and away better than the other games. All right, let's do this thing. We got Jalen Hurts. And I'm okay with this. So we just talked about it, right? 5 Eagles, they don't play for. I'm not going to go 5 Eagles. In fact, with Hurts, AJ Brown's too easy. With Hurts, I'm honestly with the Eagles, and because they don't play the first round, I'm good here. I'm good doing like a 3. I could throw Quez Watkins in later, Miles Sanders. And what you could do is, one, we have to get an AFC quarterback now, or a second quarterback. Because if you don't get quarterback points in the first round, you're not going to get much done, right? So you have to get quarterback points in the first round. So what I don't mind doing is going skinny early instead of overstacking it. Maybe throwing a Quez Watkins later. But now pivoting to probably three player type builds for the AFC, or doing a 4 spot on the AFC and doing another NFC team. Right? So this is a great Chargers type play. Get 4 Chargers. And if you're going to do that, you got to do it early. I can't sit around and wait on Mike Williams and company. I could go here, and maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll just kind of show you what I'm talking about if the cards fall right. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins. Mahomes McKinnon has become a popular stack. There has been times I've seen Travis Kelce and Mahomes kind of fall together in this like 3-10, 4-9 spot. That would be nice. So he goes Joe Mixon. So I could go right now AFC with the Chargers. And what you have to do if you're going to go all 4 of them, which I will do, I could go Miles Sanders. Devontae Smith already went. So if Devontae Smith had fallen here, I would be more intrigued on taking him and double stacking Hurts. But he doesn't. So what you could do, you have to again, ADP does not really matter in this sense. I don't care that all these other guys are going ahead of Keenan Allen. I don't care that maybe Keenan Allen falls back to 29 as an ADP 27. I'm trying to set this up of exactly how I want it. And you could get all 4 of them. So then if this plays out the way I want it, I've got 4 guys from an AFC team. And that's what we're looking for, right? We want 4 guys from one team. And then we can play it from the other side with the Eagles. We've got Quez Watkins down here, Dallas Goedert down here potentially, Kenneth Gainwell maybe. Quez Watkins over Gainwell for me, but I like Quez Watkins late. And then we got to find one more team. We got to find one more team for a 3 spot. And we could technically do it from either side because we have a quarterback from both sides. So we could technically do a 3 spot if Justin Herbert falls to us. So we could technically do it from either side. Joe Burrow, Higgins, Mixon, Cincy, San Francisco. So G Tambo is doing the exact opposite, right? He takes 3 Cincinnati. Now he's got 2 San Francisco. I'm taking 2 Philly and then 3 Los Angeles Chargers. Let's take Mike Williams first. Reason being, that would give me all the Chargers. So it would be really silly. He might do it anyways. But it wouldn't make sense for Kiz K20 to take Justin Herbert here. Whereas it may have made sense to take Mike Williams. I don't know that he would have, but I don't really want to risk it. Where there's really no reason at all for him to take Herbert. Truly, there's no reason for anyone to take Herbert at this point. None of these guys have Charger guys. Could I take Goddard here? Because I do that, I just play different. Let's see if I got it. Uh-oh. Okay. All right. So here's my reason. That was late. Shouldn't have done it that late, and it might backfire. The reason I go Goddard is because I get my 3 Eagles, Goddard, Brown with Jalen Hurts is better than Brown and Quez Watkins with Jalen Hurts, right? And so Nobody else has any Chargers. I have all the Chargers. So if anybody's going to take, any of these teams are going to take a quarterback, it's going to be a naked Justin Herbert. A naked Justin Herbert. Now, this guy, Serum, maybe he does because he's got all these other guys, but my guess is he's thinking about a late stack with a quarterback that he likes a lot, which is why he's okay taking all these one-offs. This guy has 2 quarterbacks already, so he's definitely not going to take Justin Herbert. So this is probably the last one here who might. He's got a lot of random stuff, but he doesn't have any Chargers, right? He's got Buffalo, San Francisco mostly. He fucking takes Justin Herbert. Whatever. I'm okay with it. I just got to find another quarterback now. It doesn't make sense. He absolutely has nobody here to stack with, but I took a shot. I thought he would make it back to me. He doesn't make it back to me. All good. I still feel more comfortable with this here. So what I'm just going to take Lamar and Mark Andrews and kind of play that, I guess. Actually, I could probably take Trevor Lawrence. Let's take Mark Andrews. So I told you I needed a second one. Baltimore is going to play in Cincinnati. Baltimore and the Chargers are both wild card teams. So I don't mind stacking both of them on the same team because they're not going to play each other. Trevor Lawrence is actually playing the Chargers, so I don't want Trevor Lawrence. So hopefully Lamar stays here. If so, I can take him. If not, I'll pivot again because that's what we do. But that gives me Lamar for the first round. Hopefully the Bengals sit him this week and he's healthy next week. That's kind of my biggest fear is he doesn't end up playing next week. That's my biggest fear, but I'll play him anyways. All right, so I've got 3 Philly, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Mike Williams. I got 3 Chargers, Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. Excuse me, I said Dallas Goedert from Philly. And I've got 2 Baltimore. I don't have enough running backs at this point, so I need to hit on a couple running backs here. Could go J.K. Dobbins to stack up with my Baltimore. Kenneth Gainwell I could add in here for that. But what I would like to do is take Dobbins and just play this as a 3-3-3. And then probably play the best running back available here at 53. And then just kind of hope Dobbins falls to the last pick. So this didn't work out the way I wanted it to. I don't regret taking Dallas Goedert because I still think Dallas Goedert is way better than Quez Watkins and gives me a better chance of advancing if I make it to round 2. But missing out on Justin Herbert definitely hurts. That definitely hurts, and there's not really any running backs. I'll probably just take J.K. Dobbins and Derrick Henry and hope. I don't have any Titans on this team, Jaguars on this team. So it could be Derrick Henry versus the Chargers in round 2, in round 1, and just kind of hoping that's the game. Who would the Packers play? San Francisco? Seahawks will play San Francisco. Yeah, we'll just do Derrick Henry. Doesn't end up the way I wanted it to. Definitely feeling a little bummed I missed out on Justin Herbert. Can't believe this dude takes him. He ends up stacking Josh Palmer and Gerald Everett. So have fun with that, Serum. Hopefully it doesn't work out for you as you play all these other two seed guys. I was feeling really good about that. Honestly, you're still getting all the Charger points from week 1. You're still getting all the Charger points. The problem here is if the Titans lose, you really only have 6 players to fill 5 spots. You really only have 6 players, right? 3 Chargers, 3 Baltimore to fill 5 spots. You need like, a 150-yard rushing game from Lamar Jackson in that sense. So that was a bummer. Didn't love that, but we will survive. Let's refresh this. So we end up Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. We also have a Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Andrews stack. We've got the Chargers with Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and a one-off Derrick Henry. Maybe, just maybe, they can beat the Jaguars tomorrow. That's going to do it for me. I'm going to shut this thing down. Follow me on Twitter at TrevorS_FF. A lot of fun this week. I'll be back next week, probably, potentially multiple times. We'll see how the schedule goes. Try to get a couple of guests on next week. Another Damn Fantasy podcast next week, next Wednesday, 8:15, right here on the Stadium Rant YouTube channel. We're going to talk FFPC. It's a different type of playoff fantasy football. You take one player from 12 of the 14 teams. You fade 2 teams fully. So that we're going to talk a lot about that. I'm going to give you some strategy on that I love a lot. There's a $35 game for FFPC. We'll probably do some more underdog drafts. And of course, next Friday, we will probably be back on the DFS train, getting us ready for the Saturday game slate, the Sunday 3-game slate. Should be a lot of fun. Playoff football is right around the corner. And I have my own fantasy football for the playoffs and a playoff pick'ems. So if you're interested in joining some of those, DM me on Twitter. Again, it's at TrevorS_FF. Super easy, super fun. Just a completely different fantasy football style. You can pick anybody you want. No drafting, no salary caps. It's just you picking the best plays and then getting multipliers if you use them week over week. So a lot of fun there. Appreciate you all being here. Hit that like button one more time on your way out. Subscribe to the Stadium Rant YouTube channel. I will see you next week.